You ever live somewhere and feel like the place is watching you? That was me during my second year of college. I had just transferred to a new city for my engineering degree and moved into a dusty old hostel building near campus. The place was cheap, a bit run down, but private. My room was on the third floor, room 313. Ironically unlucky. But I didn't believe in bad omens. Not yet. It started the second week after I moved in. I was pulling another late-night cram session for an electronics lab exam. The hostel was quiet. My roommate hadn't shown up since the first day, so I had the whole room to myself. At 2:33 a.m., just as I was shutting my laptop, I heard it. Tap tap. Faint, almost like someone gently knocking on a wooden table. I paused, listening. Tap tap tap. It was coming from the wall behind my bed, the one shared with the old storage room next door. I figured it had to be plumbing. The pipes probably rattled when someone used a bathroom downstairs or something. I put on my headphones and ignored it. But it came back. Every night. Same time. 2:33 a.m. By the fourth night, I noticed something strange. It wasn't just random knocking. The taps had rhythm. Like a message. Like code. I recorded it on my phone the next time it happened and played it back during the day. On a whim, I pulled up a Morse code translator online. I had studied some basic signal codes before, so this wasn't entirely unfamiliar. I replayed the taps, pausing at each break. Look under the floor. I froze. Now let me be clear, I'm not the kind of guy who jumps to ghosts or conspiracies. So I tried logic first. Maybe someone was pranking me? Maybe the message was a coincidence? But curiosity? It's a loud whisper in a quiet room. The next afternoon, I cleared the space near the foot of my bed and pulled up the thin, squeaky floorboards. It wasn't easy, the boards weren't loose and they felt like they hadn't been touched in decades. After 30 minutes of scraping, prying, and getting splinters, I found it. A small cavity underneath the floor, like a hidden compartment. Inside was a bundle wrapped in rotted canvas. It smelled old and dry, like dust and blood. Inside was a leather-bound journal, a rusted metal hairpin, and something that made my blood go cold. A student ID card. The photo was faded, the name scratched out. But the hostel emblem and date were clear. 1989. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I read through the journal. The entries belonged to a girl named Emily Carter, a third-year literature student who lived in room 313 in 1989. Her last few entries were frantic. He keeps following me. He watches me through the storage room wall at night. I told the warden, but he said I was imagining things. He said girls get emotional sometimes. I'm not emotional. I'm scared. He tried to get in last night. I blocked the door with a chair. I heard him whispering through the wall. If I disappear, it wasn't an accident. He's in room 309. Don't let him hide. Her final entry was just 2 words. Help me. I reported everything to the hostel warden. He barely looked at the ID before shaking his head. There was no girl named Emily here in 1989. And we didn't have women on this floor back then anyway. But I knew what I read. I still had the journal. I started digging. Old newspaper archives. College records. Reddit forums. Finally, I found a post on a local ghost thread. Someone claiming their aunt had gone missing from the campus hostel in 1989. Her name? Emily Carter. There was a police report too, buried deep in the city's digital records. She had vanished from her room without a trace. Authorities believe she had run away. Case closed. No follow-up. No suspects. No body. I remembered her journal entry, room 309. Room 309 was 2 doors down. I knocked during the day. A frail old man opened it. He had sunken eyes, yellow teeth, and a permanent shaking hand. Claimed to be the building's night janitor, retired, but allowed to live there by special permission. I asked him about Emily. He slammed the door in my face. Later that night, I heard tapping again. Not on my wall, but my door. I opened it, heart pounding. No one was there. But on the floor? The rusted hairpin I had found in the floorboard. 2 days later, room 309 caught fire. The entire hallway filled with smoke. By the time emergency services got there, the old man was dead. They said it was a cigarette fire. Accidental. But I didn't believe that. Because later, the fireman found a sealed wooden panel behind his wardrobe. Behind it, a hidden tunnel connecting directly to the storage room next to mine. And in that tunnel, fragments of old bones, shreds of cloth, and part of a hostel-issued shoe, female size. She stopped tapping. They never officially reopened Emily Carter's case. But the story got out. My room was sealed for structural reasons. The hostel floor was renovated. But me? I moved out the next day. I still have her journal. It sits in a sealed box under my bed. I haven't heard tapping since. But sometimes, just sometimes, I wake up at 2:33 a.m., heart racing, ears straining in the silence. And I swear I hear it again. Tap, 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 tap. Only now it feels like she's saying, "Thank you." They say when you live alone, every noise sounds louder. I used to think that was just nerves. But after what happened to me, I know better. Sometimes the noises mean something. My name's Lauren West, and in 2021, I moved into a small apartment in Griswold, a quiet, fog-covered town nestled in the hills. I had just gotten out of a bad breakup and I wanted space, peace. The place was old but charming. Brick exterior, wooden floors, a narrow hallway that led from the front door to the bedroom and kitchen. It was a one-bedroom unit on the third floor of a creaky 3-story building. The neighbors were quiet, barely around. Honestly, it felt like I had the whole floor to myself. The rent was cheap. I thought I'd found a hidden gem. For the first 2 weeks, everything was perfect. Until I noticed the footprints. It was a Monday morning when I first saw them. I was walking from my bedroom to the kitchen for coffee, still half asleep when something caught my eye. Dark, muddy footprints, leading down the hallway. They weren't mine. I hadn't been outside in 2 days and I never wore shoes inside. They started near my bedroom door, trailed past the bathroom, and stopped abruptly halfway down the hall. No prints from the front door. No return path. Just one set, ending in the middle of the hallway. At first, I thought I was being silly. Maybe I dragged something in by mistake? I mopped it up and forgot about it. But the next morning, they were back. And again the next day. Always around 3 to 4 a.m. Always muddy. Always ending in the same spot. Now, here's the part that really started to bother me. I always locked the door. Always. Deadbolt. Chain. Even the little latch I installed myself. There was no sign of forced entry. No open windows. Nothing out of place. Just those prints, almost like they materialized in the hallway. I started to wonder if I was sleepwalking. Maybe I was going outside at night without realizing? So I did what any anxious person would do. I installed a camera. Just a cheap motion-sensitive night vision one. I set it up in the hallway facing the bedroom and left it running overnight. I honestly expected it to show nothing. I hoped it would prove I was just being paranoid. But what it recorded changed everything. The footage started normal. Dark hallway. Occasional groan from the wood floor. The soft hum of my refrigerator. Then around 3:07 a.m. the camera clicked on again. Motion detected. At first there was nothing, just the hallway. Then the floorboards moved, lifted. Not all at once, just one. The plank near the muddy endpoint I'd seen every day. A hand emerged, pale, thin, covered in dirt. Someone was crawling out. They pulled themselves up from beneath the floor like they'd done it 100 times, quiet, slow, familiar. The figure was tall, gaunt, wearing dark clothes but barefoot. Their skin looked sickly and their eyes were wide and unblinking. They stood in the hallway for a moment, then turned toward my bedroom. The footage went quiet for over 10 minutes. No motion. Then, around 3:19 a.m., the figure returned to the hallway, walking backwards, never turning around. Still staring at the bedroom door. They knelt down, lifted the floorboard, and slowly vanished back beneath it, dragging the plank back into place behind them. No noise. No trace. And then, nothing. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I watched that footage over and over, heart racing, mouth dry. When the sun came up, I grabbed a crowbar and started pulling up the hallway boards. It was harder than I thought. They weren't loose or tampered with. But eventually I got the plank, loose. Beneath it was a shallow crawl space maybe 2 feet deep. It reeked of mold, rot, and something else. Sweat. There were scratch marks along the beams. Fingerprints in the dust. Bits of hair. And in the far corner? A blanket. A bottle of water. Crumpled food wrappers. Someone had been living under my hallway floor. For how long I still don't know. The police took it seriously. They found more evidence. Tiny drilled holes in the wall between the crawl space and my bedroom. Just big enough to see through. And a worn photograph in the corner. Picture of me. From my Instagram. Printed and folded. They never found him. No prints, no ID, no leads. He had vanished. But the detective told me something I'll never forget. He wasn't breaking in. He didn't have to. He was already in. They think he found access through an old maintenance shaft in the basement. Slipped into the crawlspace weeks before I moved in. Maybe longer. He watched me. Slept under me. Walked my halls while I slept. Gone but not forgotten. I moved out that day. Didn't pack. Didn't even take the coffee machine. Sometimes I still dream about the footage. Not the moment he crawled out, but the moment before, when the hallway was just still, and he was already beneath me, waiting.